Hello, I'm Liz, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and the stuff they're sharing around the world on Newsfeed today. Could the coronavirus crisis provide the moment to write off international debt? The new homemade melodrama made just for life under lockdown. Too scared to sing in public? Well, this is the choir you can join from your sofa. No auditions necessary. Top of our newsfeed today, debt relief in the time of coronavirus. Without immediate government action, millions, maybe billions of people will be left destitute. And the global economy is grinding to a halt. And it's going to take a global effort to recover. There are ideas in the pipeline. Rich countries like China are being asked to write off poorer nations' debt. And if the response to COVID-19 has taught us anything, it's that there's no time to waste. Here's Faisal.
Cities have turned into ghost towns, factories abandoned, and businesses shut. COVID-19 has battered the global economy, and some are warning the fallout could be worse than the 2008 global financial crisis, or even the Great Depression. For countries like Pakistan, already billions of dollars in debt, the impact will be even greater.
Because of the effects of the economic slowdown, my worry is poverty and hunger. That worries me much more right now. For that, I think, the world community has to think of some sort of a debt write-off for countries like us, which are very vulnerable. At least that will help us in coping with it.
It is not just Pakistan. Finance ministers from several African nations have called for the suspension of debt interest payments. Even the WHO's Director General, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, called for debt relief.
Developing countries home to a quarter of the population will likely be hit hardest by COVID-19. At this critical moment in history, broad agreement on debt relief will be key to allowing nations with fragile health systems and economies to channel their resources into saving lives.
It is a call echoed by a group of 150 civil society organizations which are calling for developing countries' debt repayments to be dropped this year. There is a precedent for this. In 2001, debt relief to the tune of $34 billion was given to 23 developing nations to help them tackle poverty. In 1953, 20 major powers wrote off most of Germany's debt and restructured the rest to be paid in installments at a lower interest rate. But to reach an agreement on debt relief will be difficult. On Wednesday, EU finance ministers failed to agree on a rescue package for the worst-hit economies in Europe. But by freeing up funds for poor countries to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic now, they might be more able to contribute to rebuilding the world's economy later.
Let's take a look now at some other Rona-related stories you might have missed. Jack Dorsey, the guy who started Twitter, has pledged $1 billion of shares to fund coronavirus research. That's about a third of his wealth. A growing list of billionaires are reaching into their own pockets to help fund the effects and the fight against COVID-19. None have come close yet to matching Dorsey's huge donation. Like we need our homes to be any more crowded at the moment, but the British Vets Association has recommended cat owners keep their pets indoors to prevent the spread. There's nothing yet to suggest that you can catch coronavirus from an animal, but cats may be able to spread it onto other cats, so they'll have to learn how to distance too. For the person who has everything, scammers in India tried to sell the world's tallest statue, claiming the proceeds would help Gujarat state fund the coronavirus fight. They tried flogging the Statue of Unity, that's twice the height of the Statue of Liberty, for $4 billion. I suppose if you've got $4 billion to spend, you've probably got somewhere to put it. The pandemic really is proving that time and space are but a meaningless concept. Graduates in Japan have been able to take the podium and collect their diplomas via robots. They remotely controlled their own avatars with computers at home, and even got a hug from their proud as punch professor. To cope with the lockdown, some people need to just take it one day at a time. Others want to know exactly what the end game is. The only thing that's certain is that we don't really know what that is. The modern world has never faced something like COVID-19. We asked journalist Chris Stoker-Walker whether this will be but a brief moment in history or whether we need to ready ourselves for a new world order.
So the things that we do know is that there are going to be significant changes to the world in the aftermath of the coronavirus. Exactly what actually happens is still uncertain. We already know that there are going to be big changes to culture and society. There would be a kind of demolition of the working class and an acknowledgement that they need support. We're already seeing that with announcements in Spain overnight of a universal basic income arriving. We're probably also going to see changes to our food supply chains. We are a global world, but they are being disrupted. So in the immediate future, we will see less choice in supermarkets, though not food shortages, according to the people I speak to. Instance of food it is. I think we will start to see an increase in domestic production of food so that there is less stress on imported things. But, I'm based in the UK. There is no way that we can grow oranges or things that are requiring a hot climate. So we will always depend on imports of that. I think just what we're seeing as a result of COVID-19 is quite how dependent we are on international supply chains. And then also we're going to see changes in our everyday lives. We're going to change the way that we interact with each other. People going into offices will likely be less common. Indeed, when we're actually there, things like handshakes may become less common and we may see more mask wearing. So offices won't go away, according to people I talk to. They will still be there. It'll be a place where you have a chat over coffee and you reconnect, and then you can maybe go home and do all the hard work remotely as well. Right now, I don't think that we do realise the economic impact, partly because we're not out there in society. When we get back out from our self-isolation, wherever you are in the world, I think that we will start to see the impact. It'll be the small businesses that don't reopen afterwards because of cash flow issues. It'll be the impact that it has on struggling physical high street retailers in the face of the growing online retail world. So we already know, based on economic analysis, that we're going to see a massive decrease in global GDP, a massive decrease in economic activity, and it's going to be difficult to restart that. It is causing us to think twice about the social, societal, economic norms that we have. So we're not doing as much air travel. Planes are being grounded. That has massive impacts on our environment. Likewise, we're also seeing the barrels of oil prices just dropping through the floor. Now, that is an interesting challenge because this is almost an excuse, a reason for governments that want to think progressively on things like the climate or things like more generally society to actually use it as an impetus. So I think that what the coronavirus is showing is that this is kind of the impetus for bigger changes in society, ones that maybe people have been a little bit scared about doing because they've worried about the backlash, but the extraordinary impact and effect of this global pandemic is kind of giving them a reason to push a little bit further than they ordinarily would.
Let's go around the world now for some stories not about coronavirus you need to know this Wednesday. If you want another way for Facebook to know everything about your personal life, here's a new app for you. It's called Tuned, a messaging app for you and your significant other. Facebook says it's a space for you to be mushy, express your love and digitally scrapbook your forever moments. They claim it's a private space, but it doesn't have end-to-end encryption like WhatsApp and has the same data policy as Facebook, so be careful out there. US President Donald Trump has taken a giant leap by signing an executive order that encourages US space exploration and mining. He made it clear the US doesn't view space as something it needs to share, and that the US will ignore any international efforts to ban it from removing chunks of the moon, Mars, or anything else in space. You can forget about watching new episodes of The Witcher, Handmaid's Tale, Stranger Things, take your fancy, because dozens of TV shows have had to shut down production because of COVID-19. But there's a new Turkish sitcom that's not only homemade, but embraces our new lives in lockdown.
With well over 100 countries under lockdown, many businesses have ground to a halt, including TV productions. But in Turkey, producer Birol Güven saw an opportunity to make a unique television show with actors in their own homes. So Ev Yapımı, meaning homemade, was born.
The script is created according to real life of our actors, our team, according to the story. So you can call it scripted reality. Of course, it is not pure reality, it is scripted reality. So there are a lot of houses now, they are all locked down. So they are producing nice scenes. We didn't want to just sit down doing nothing. We wanted to produce content. We want to make people happy because it is sitcom, it's a comedy. So it is a real homemade family TV show, maybe the first show producing like this.
The actors say they're happy to work, but some have had some unique problems to overcome.
You can't always film when you want to because conditions on our boat, where we live, don't always allow it. Today, for example, the wind is blowing, so we won't be able to film anything. And when you don't have a sound technician on hand, it's a bit harder to do. We also have to do our own lighting, costumes, and even directing. So it is hard, but it's also fun, and we're happy to do it.
A dose of good humor is always welcome.
I am so tired this morning. Finding a good assistant is hard. I may have to divorce my current assistant.
He says he needs an assistant, but he made you do the work of 3 people.
And like everyone working from home, family can sometimes get in the way.
My wife is a very meticulous person. She is obsessed with the tidiness of the house. So we had minor difficulties while shooting. She was saying things like, "Don't put that there," or "Don't put that over there." My wife did not want the house to look messy.
The first episode will air on Turkish broadcaster TRT1 this week, and the next homemade episodes are already in production.
Now move over pub choir. Dublin's Casual Choir allows you to sing along from your living room. No audition, no sheet music, just belting out some classics. Check out this stunning cover of one of Ireland's national treasures, sung by people in 10 countries. Oh, goosebumps. Now that's all from the Newsfeed team. You can find us 24/7 on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and we'll see you tomorrow.